I'm Autumn Ivy. This is Ellis.
Howdy.
This is an update / Ellis just talked to one of our neighbors for like 30 minutes, and now I'm kind of interested in what was said, which is fascinating. To recap, we moved from Arizona because it was very, very hot, and we have a lot of animals, and the animals were not benefiting from the heat. Neither were we. It was a lot. And I am not a desert person. I was not ever meant to be or to stay in the desert. Ellis is very ocean oriented and I am very forest oriented. So we wound up heading towards the Pacific Northwest. Now, initially when I was looking for houses, there was options, but also stuff that I wasn't sure about in terms of purchase and just other stuff. We needed property because we have the horses. So I came across this house, which was a 10-acre property, huge house, 2-story, kind of like old country house, pretty well priced, all things considered, especially for the local area market. Still expensive, but it had everything that we needed, and I was good with that. It was great. So initially, everything seemed like it was going well with the purchase of the home. We ran into a handful of snags that were just kind of stupid, I guess, almost like a test of if you really want it, you will figure it out kind of things, to the point where they started to pause the purchase because there weren't heaters in the home. And I was like, weird, because you can buy wall unit heaters that are applicable
like
for
Home Depot.
for like this type of loan, and it's fine. You just have to install those. So I had to be the one to send these to the realtors and be like, you can just install these and solve the problem. And what did they do? But there was just a lot of weird bullshit delays. All right. So finally we get here. We get our signing done. Everything's great.
Okay.
Then we get here. And after driving 24 hours straight with the animals because they cannot stay in the horse trailer. So we finally get here, and I walk in, and I am immediately put off by whatever's going on in this house. It was dirty. They left like fingerprint streakies on the doors from kids. There's like stuff carved into the bathroom wall. It was very gross. And I threw a fit because I have a weird thing about clean spaces. Like, I need to have chaos in my disorder, and I need to have order in my chaos kind of situation. So I was not happy with what was going on. We were not happy with the energy of the studio today. Now, I ran around like a chicken with my head cut off, finding somebody to come and do a deep clean of the house because it just felt dirty. But it also, and for those of you that are not like hee-haw magic people, I totally understand. I respect you and your decisions and the things that you do, so please respect us and ours. I was raised by hardcore Christians. I myself am not that way. I have the utmost respect for everybody. You do your thing, I'll do mine kind of deal. It doesn't make me any less or more respectful towards your decision in that, as long as you treat people kindly. With that said, this house, from a spiritual perspective, is fucking rank. Like, is very... I should say was. It was messy from a spiritual position. You could kind of walk into some of the rooms, and like the feelings to it and some of the general stuff was very palpable, and you could touch it. Like, it was tangible. So we did what we do. Obviously, we have an occult shop / like oddities shop. So, and that's what Ellis does. Ellis teaches, different styles of magic and craft. So we did what we needed to do to kind of clear it out. And we've been running simmer pots almost weekly, pretty much damn near daily, to some capacity. Now, with that said, it seemed to us that no one really talked about what was going on with this house, or wouldn't really say anything or give us like the full details. When we would mention it, they kind of just skated across and didn't really say anything else. And they were always polite and very kind about it, but it's almost like nobody wanted to say anything until they could figure out us and kind of get a vibe for who we were as people, which is what makes this next story piece so interesting. Now, we have met the lady that showed up today. Very nice lady, loves the animals. The animals are very kind to her, which is great.
She was a vet tech for a long time.
Yeah, so she's got a big heart, this lady does, and they live at the end of our road, her and her husband.
They come by the day we came up with the U-Haul.
Yep. Specifically, when we moved in, her and her husband stopped by. The neighbor to the other side of us stopped by. The crowd down this alleyway that we live on is an older crowd, really. With the appearance of this lady and her husband and our neighbors, everybody was very kind. You know, they treated us well. We wound up meeting the other neighbor down the road, who's also an older gentleman. His name is Ed. We've talked about Ed previously. Ed is a little bit of a badass, and he
previously called him Duck Dynasty because I hadn't met him yet.
Yeah,
he very much has the.
He's very Duck Dynasty, but in a positive way.
His name is Ed.
So Ed is like our new Wayne. Basically, Ed has become our Wayne replacement. We miss and love Wayne very, very much, but Ed is Wayne here. So today, while I was preparing for the stream, which is what took me so long to get back, the neighbor lady drove up and was asking us about flowers that she was going to give to a sale, and was like, oh, maybe I can just give them to you guys if you want them. Very, very nice. Well, as I'm streaming, Ellis is talking to this neighbor, to which Ellis then is basically told about the most of the story behind this house for the last 20 years or so, because this is a very old house. I believe it was built in the 1950s. Yeah. It's a very old house. Has gone through a lot of stuff in a handful of families. I am interested because I do not know this story, obviously, as I was streaming while this was going on. I don't know what he's about to tell us, so I'm kind of excited. I will tell you this because I did ask him beforehand about anything negative, because of course we don't know the history of this home. There is a little bit of a trigger warning. I told Ellis to keep the details very, very light, but there is apparently some child abuse involved, so please be aware of that. Again, we're not going to go into super details here.
Details.
Yeah, we're not going to go into details, just the vague mention of it, so please be aware of that, and we're good. Otherwise, what happened?
Oh my god. Okay, so and this lady, mind you, the whole time she's telling me this, I called her a shiny lady earlier because shiny people are what our friend Catherine introduced us to the term, but they're basically very they either practice magic or they're the magical type
spiritual.
Of person. They're spiritual and they're empathetic, right? So they're a shiny person.
Yeah.
I know everything this lady is saying is true because she's crying on and off while she's telling me the story, and I could tell that it really bothered her. B, she connected with our animals, which our animals are our kind of tell-alls when it comes to people. Anyway, so she starts by telling me that the reason that everybody came down and they were so happy to see us and meet us and introduce themselves is because we were, how did she phrase it? Literally, I think she said real people. And I was like, what do you mean? And I
as opposed to the plastic kind.
So she was struggling to figure out how to say it, and I told her, I was like, you do not have to tell me anything you're not comfortable telling me. But I said, from the things that you guys said when you came down the first day, the internet guy, the electrician, everybody has made small commentary about how things clearly weren't fucking good in this house.
Yeah. But
I don't know what happened. And I told her, I said, I'm going to be honest with you. The moment we walked into this house, there was some weird energy shit going on in here. And she did not hesitate. She's like, please tell me that you smudged and cleaned the house. And I said, yes, it was the first thing that we did. So she starts by telling me that the first owners, because she's been here just about as long as Ed, a very long time.
Which Ed has been here pretty much his whole life, is what he told us. He's been here a long fucking time.
Right. So the first owners that she knew when she moved here, and this was before the lady that we bought the house from, that... This is going to sound fucking crazy, but I believe her and I've seen proof, so I'll get to that in a minute. The lady existed here and she had tons of children. I believe she said she was on child 7 or 8 by the time that they left.
Wait, the recent?
No,
Oh, okay, the
Before.
first. Okay.
So she had children. They were all over the place, like wandering the front yard in the mud with like fleas and stuff in diapers, just like wandering around outside and in the house. They weren't taken care of. Because she was, it's not born again Christian in the traditional sense, but she was quite literally and admittedly part of a cult where she believed that she had to have 13 children and the 13th one was going to be the Messiah. She believed this. Like,
There's no fucking way.
no, she believed it. And she was nice initially to Miss Rachel, and I guess at one point, like, she had offered this lady help, like, hey, do you need help with anything, like, with the kids? And I guess this lady, like, lost it and started screaming. And her kids and her husband would constantly fight and everything else, but these kids lived in very, very bad conditions. And that's how it was most of the time, was that the kids would be out in the yard and rarely in the house. And CPS was called multiple times. And when they were starting to close in on this lady, she freaked out, had a meltdown, took everything, and left, is what I understood. But it was hard for Miss Rachel because she loves kids, and she had to watch this situation unfold because they were all ages. And when it wasn't a situation where they were like roaming around in the dirt, there was lots of screaming, there was lots of yelling, like it was not good. But she believed this. She was in a religious cult, and she believed that she had to have 13 children. I know that all of this is true, not only from listening to the lady, but outside our porch. The dogs will go underneath it all the time and dig and den and everything
They
else.
pull a
and
bunch of stuff
They've
up.
pulled out children's shoes.
Toys.
They've pulled out kids' toys. And every single time I'm like,
Yeah.
what sort of haunted fucking shit is going on here? It's from those kids. So that first part definitely happened.
Yeah, that explains that. They wouldn't have had a porch either because the wraparound porch that's on this house is newer. It was put in by, I think, the recent owners.
Yeah.
So no, that would explain that because they do. They go and they'll dig under there because obviously one of the dogs is a mix. He's a mix husky, but he will den underneath it. So far, no bones so far. Knock on wood. Please don't say that. I'm gonna go outside and he's gonna have like a femur in his fucking mouth. Can we not? I don't need that.
So, and this house used to be like the homesteading house, which is why it's built the way that it is. It's like this was the nicest house on the block. It was recently just painted charcoal because I told her the back of the house was still purple, and she's like, so it was purple that whole time.
Oh, so it's always been purple.
Yeah, it's been purple for a long time.
Okay.
I think it was the lady we bought it from that did that though.
Okay.
Because she made it sound like it was just painted charcoal.
Okay.
Anyways, so that was the first owner. I believe after that, Ed lived here for just a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't say much about him living here because Ed's not a problem. Like, Ed's just Ed.
Well, I also feel like Ed probably has his own stories on why he left.
So, that all happened.
Okay.
I do not know or couldn't discern if it was the first lady or the lady we bought the house from. But at one point, and I'm pretty sure it was the lady we bought the house from, they did have rabbits that they just kind of let do their thing on and off, in and out of the front yard, which I've seen that. And
We know that's true. There's rabbit shit everywhere.
Them under, and I saw the chicken shed where my chickens are is very unkempt.
It's bad.
There's just piles of old rabbit shit everywhere that I have to go in and bust up and clean out once I handle the wasp problem.
Yeah, we haven't been able to get to that. There's a really nice chicken pen. Let me rephrase. It was a nice chicken pen. It needs to be completely redone now because it's very damaged. But the other problem is we can't touch it just yet until we deal with the massive wasp's nest. And I don't mean like, tee-hee, they're like this big. I mean like...
Paper wasp nest.
Yeah, like they're not... This is like... triple, quadruple issue.
I have one still that was knocked down that I found that was under a thing of wood that was this big.
So this is not a game. And these are very pissy wasps.
Right.
So if we go in there and we start trying to break up a bunch of the nasty stuff that's in there, we're going to piss the entire hive off. So I'm going to say no. But we're working on that. But yes, it's very disgusting. It's very like piled, overgrown, just it's nasty.
I did have an issue because she told me that the lady that had this house would go and buy layer chickens, which is what would go out there. Normally, when your chickens get too old and they stop laying, like, you can sell them to permanent homes. You don't really want to eat them because old chickens aren't really worth eating. They're not.
That's not what they're for.
Yeah.
You want to retire them out.
Right. That wouldn't happen. She would just kind of put them in the front yard and not feed them. And that's the fate that the chickens had.
Are you fucking kidding?
No. That's assuming that coyotes or dogs didn't get them. Yeah, she would just starve them. So that's what happened to the chickens when they were done. So anyway, the new lady, right after Ed left out, and the new lady that did this stuff to the chickens and the rabbits lived here. The new lady would be fighting and arguing with her husband so loudly that you could hear it down at the end of the street. The end of the street.
I want to point out, hearing that our street is not a short street.
And there's trees.
Yeah,
which
so
means echoes aren't
really a thing, which means that they would have had to have been screaming at each other.
The bigger problem was that when she wasn't screaming at her husband, that's how she talked to the kids. And Miss Rachel and other neighbors have seen her scream at these kids and put her hands on these children often. The man was decent. She said that the guy we bought the house from, the husband, he was a good man.
No wonder they're fucking divorced.
He was not. She was polite about it, but she basically said he wasn't very bright, but he was a very sweet man.
I mean, he was bright enough to make a bunch of the shit that was in the shop. Look, the dude that we dealt with was not the problem, and we kind of knew that when we were in the process of buying this house, because what people don't realize is when you purchase a home, some of the public records in regards to ownership with a married couple that's going through a divorce, that becomes public to the person you're purchasing the home, who is purchasing the home. Meaning, I had access to their divorce papers. And I know, I will be polite. It's not anybody's business. Let me put it this way. It was very clear that this woman stopped giving a shit about the house and took everything that this man was worth and then some.
Raked over the coals real bad.
Bad.
So she was quite abusive to these children. They could hear her screaming, saw it in person, put her hands on these kids. And I won't go into more. I have more details. I'm not going into them. But it was not good. One of the children, from what she described, I don't know the name of the condition, but we've talked about it, the condition where they're overly aggressive. You remember? Like, just out of control rage and aggression.
Oh, yeah.
One of those. That's what's on the bathroom wall. The carving in the bathroom wall.
Oh.
That kid was extremely aggressive to the other children as well, and caused a lot of physical damage.
Wow. Okay, so that's why some of the stuff then had to be redone. Okay.
So these kids were not okay. They were in a very, very bad environment. Anytime anybody said anything, no, it's not BPD. Anytime anybody said anything, the lady would get extremely explosive. They tried to call CPS and the sheriff. They never did anything. And then the lady's boyfriends, who she would have over all the time, while her husband was deployed.
What did I tell you?
Yeah.
What did I fucking... Okay, so... No, okay, so I told Ellis, okay? I told fucking Ellis. I was like, look, I know I'm gonna sound crazy, and this is before we got here and moved in. I was like, I'm gonna sound fucking crazy after I read the paperwork, but I was like, I'm gonna tell you exactly what happened with this family.
On my life, this conversation happened.
I'm gonna tell you exactly what happened with this family, and wait for it. And I did, and I sat there, and I told Ellis the life fucking story of this family that lived in this house that I had not, to that point, stepped foot in, but I knew everything about them without knowing anything at all. And I told him that day exactly that. I talked about the cheating. I talked about the fact that the husband wasn't home as much as he could be because he couldn't be. I talked about how he was as a person. I talked about how she was as a person. I talked about the kids. Like, I told him their family history, and hearing this is so unsurprising and makes me so fucking nauseous.
Oh, seeing the comments, that's the other thing. Yeah, she was also very, very concerned that this was a drug house because people were constantly coming and going. But the boyfriends were also just as volatile as this lady was, and there was one in particular because Miss Rachel saw the kid get off the bus. One of the kids wasn't home mentally. Like, there was something wrong.
Yeah.
And she saw somebody get out and start screaming at the kid and like grab it by here, like the back of the neck, and put it in the car. And she tried to say something and said she was calling the police, and this guy like threatened this woman, revved his car engine in front of her gate, threw rocks and stuff through her gate and all sorts of stuff. Like, this man was explosively volatile, like really bad.
Do not catch me.
So all of this happened with the most recent owner and the children, and this poor man was deployed most of this time.
Yeah, he was, and I know that definitively. That's verified.
Both sets of these neighbors, the weird religious lady and the more recent lady, have been a nightmare to this street all the way up until now. And this lady took her stuff and left, and nobody would ever do anything about the kids in either sense. And it's been terrible. So this lady was explaining this story to me and like cried multiple times, and she kept apologizing, but she's like, I need you to understand why everybody was here and was so grateful that you were real people that live here. And then she, in the nicest way possible, gave me like the type of speech that you see in like horror movies sometimes, where she was like,
the Harbinger speech?
Kind of. She's like, I wanted to see how you guys were doing and make sure you were okay, because a part of her thinks it's the house. And I don't not believe her. But because they've had such a shitty track record about what's happened in this place, she wanted to see how we were getting along and make sure we were okay, because she thinks that part of it is like here. And if it's had that much shitty shit happen,
I believe it.
It could very well be both. But she came checking to see how we were doing and like, you know, to check on the animals and stuff. And by the end of the conversation, she was like, I think you guys are going to be fine. It feels like the house is getting a lot better. The animals are clearly happy. And I told her, I said, the house is taking some time. There's a lot of healing that has to happen here. Across the entire property, but it is getting there, and it's feeling better, and it's taking time. But this lady was like, I've never seen somebody so relieved. Like, I think she hugged me like 3 different times, like just happy that we're here and we're doing okay. And then she asked to go over and talk to the horses and see if she could meet the horses. Which we appreciate, you know.
Asking,
we have no
ask
issue
first,
as long as
yeah.
somebody asks first.
Yeah.
So I walked over with her, and Balder, Autumn's stud, who's younger, came over to the fence and kind of looked at her. And she looked at me because I had mentioned, I was like, yeah, he's going to go off soon to be, you know, broke to ride. We have some really, really good friends of ours who are really, really kind of shiny, you know, and spiritual as well when it comes to working with horses. And she looked at me and she's like, did you tell him that? Because he seems confused. Or like he's not sure about that. I'm like, you're a shiny person. So she was standing there petting Balder for a second, and he put his mouth like right here and then rested his head on her shoulder, and she just started like bawling. So we have good neighbors. They're good to the animals. The horses approve of these people. And I don't think we're going to get murdered by the weird residual spiritual shit that's here. So that's a good thing. But we've done more than enough cleansing and stuff to the property. And it's ongoing. It's constant. It's not like you do it once and it suddenly goes away. But like everything that she said, I didn't expect to hear it today either. Everything that she said about the story of this house, we've either found stuff or seen stuff on the property that proves that it's the truth. So like, you know, I'm floored, but I'm also not surprised, because we had kind of the weird feeling that this was the case. The religious lady was pretty insane, but, you know, go off, I guess.
This is this is a lot to unpack.
Yeah. I think mostly she was upset, and she had mentioned this too. She was like, I tried. I felt like nobody would listen or nobody would help, and we all tried to help both sets of these neighbors, and we felt like we couldn't do anything to fix anything or to help it get better. And we were scared that when you came here, it was going to be another insane situation. But it bothered them that they, like, could not help the kids. They couldn't do anything. And that's why they're so relieved that we're here.
I need a nap. So that's cool. Ellis got the weird harbinger of doom talk about this house. That's unsurprising, and also, like, I feel relieved because part of me is like, okay, like, shocker, we kind of knew all of this was going on. On the counter side of it, though, I'm kind of like, it's fucking weird, you know, a little bit fucking sketchy.
There's a lot of weird shit that happens in the middle of nowhere. It's up to Courage to save his new home. Yeah, she was right, and it sucks that she was right. But the most that we can do at this point is do the best we can for the house. I told our neighbor, I was like, if you ever need anything, if you just want to come say hi, I gave her our phone numbers and stuff, and because she reiterated multiple times, like, there was just nobody to talk to about any of this, and, you know, it was a lot, and I feel like you needed to understand what happened. And I guess there's still more to tell, but she's like, that is as much as I can, like, handle
telling you right now.
So.
Right.
You know. It was a lot. But this house has seen some shit, and it's just gonna take some time for it to get better. And that's that. But it has gotten leagues better, even just since we've been here, because we're coming up on 2 months here soon.
Yeah.
We've already been here a month and a half.
August 4th was officially the day we moved, and then, yeah, so October 4th will be 2 months. That's wild.
Which I told her, because she had made a comment about just how much crazy, you know, the house is seen, and I said, well, now you've got spooky redneck crazy, not like shoot your door off type of crazy. And she's like, I can handle spooky redneck crazy. I was like, well, that's good, because that's where we're at. So
you let this woman stand there and give us a harbinger speech. You let that happen.
She was nice enough and had the balls to come up, because she corrected me 3 times, up the road, not down the road, come up the road to check on us and make sure that we had not also been infected by the crazy. I will let her give her speech, because not only does she not know us, she knows the history of the house, and the probability that it's going to infect with more crazy is pretty high.
Ma'am, with all due respect,
I'm already nuts.
You can't out crazy the crazy.
No, we're spooky redneck scary.
Yeah, like, yeah. Wow, what a fucking shit ton to unpack.
I can't even.
And you're right, Beanie, and I appreciate that, Greg.
She said that the entire time she's telling me these stories. I'm like, oh my god. And it's all true, because we've either seen it or we have proof, like, it's all happened.
I will admit that some of it, like, the beginning of it sounds pretty fucking unbelievable, but he's right, because we've pulled out, like scraps of old toys and, like, kids' shoes and, like...
Robin had a little toy car in his mouth yesterday.
Yeah, so, I mean... It's
which means they were letting the kids up under the deck.
Well, no, I don't think that. I think that a lot of that stuff, because it's very dirt crusted if you pick it up, I think that was before the deck was built, and I think that a lot of that stuff just got left because it got overgrown, you know what I'm saying, and it was buried, so now they're digging it up. You let this woman stand there and give you a harbinger speech. I feel like I should be upset with you for, like, horror movie reasons, but on the counter side, like, this is the beginning of the movie where everything does not go as expected either. Like, you've got the harbinger speech that comes with, like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but then this is the harbinger speech where the people are already accustomed to the stupid, weird bullshit.
I think because she lightened up when I told her. Because I had made mention of you feeling like the thing had started to, like, push you down the stairs.
Oh, yeah. So, because I didn't explain that to them.
Yeah.
So there was a night where, so we have 2 stories to this house, and we put our bedroom up top on the 2nd story. Why, I don't know, because we have to come downstairs to pee, but you know, whatever, I guess. So I was walking down the stairs one night though, and the way that it works is it's a turn stair system, like old Western house stairs. Turn and then up the second. So I was on the top of the 2nd platform getting ready to come back down, and when I got towards the 2nd set, it felt like somebody had like half pushed me down the stair. So my foot slipped off the rung that it was on and hit the next one down, and like by this much, or else my feet would have come up from under me. But it felt like somebody had shoved me. And I was like, and I'm not unaccustomed to weird, spooky bullshit.
That's pretty brazen.
But that was pretty fucking ballsy. And I'm not one of those people who are like, oh my god, something pushed me down the stairs. Like, I get mad. Like, it's not healthy, my reaction to that.
But that's what I told her, because I looked at this lady and I told her that story, and I said, my wife told me that she felt like it pushed her down the stairs, and her eyes got kind of big, and I said, and I turned to my wife and said, absolutely fucking not. And we went and pulled everything out of our witch boxes.
We pulled our witch boxes.
And started cleaning the house, saying, get the fuck out of the house. And, like, she went from, like, horrified to, like, laughing and relieved. Because it's like, I'm not gonna sit here and be like, oh no, this spooky thing in the house. Get the fuck up out of my house.
No, dead ass. Go and get.
But she felt better. Exactly. Mind your goddamn manners.
Yeah, I don't fuck with it.
She felt better when I told her. I was like, no, get the fuck out of here. Like, we're not even gonna begin to entertain that fuck shit in this house.
Which I don't.
Take your residual bullshit and
fuck off. Like, go somewhere else. Which we still have a little bit of work to do. I've got to wait to the next cycle. But, I don't take kindly, especially because I don't take kindly to, like,
ghosts don't have squatters. You're right.
I don't take kindly to, like, physical stuff that can manifest with people. And, like, again, respectfully, I don't care. You do your thing on what you believe. I will do what I do with mine, because I do believe in stuff. I've had enough experiences in my life to constitute that, and, you know, but much respect. Either way, I know what I know, and I know I don't fuck with that bullshit. So the second that happened and I got pissed, I came back up and I was like, nah, we ain't about this. Like, sweep that shit right the fuck out the door. You ain't gonna shove me in my own house. You ain't paying no motherfucking bills. So that's where we're at. On the counter side of it, the more that we've started to, like, because I redid the flooring upstairs, I painted the kitchen, which I still need to finish painting the rest of the kitchen, but I put up, like, wallpaper. We painted the living room. Like, we're getting there. But it does seem the more that we change and we integrate ourselves and, like, what we do in our own, because I have an altar to one of my deities set up in what is inherently was once upon a time the kitchen. I have an altar space set up there, and I'm not saying that, because that happened before I set up that altar.
That happened before Spike and Megan even got there with the U-Haul.
That's
We've been in the house for 5 minutes. It was coming down from us looking upstairs the first time.
That's right.
We had just walked into the house.
So I hadn't had any of this set up. So
we get a movie where a ghost fucks around and finds out.
That's what I'm saying,
though. Ghostbusters.
That's
We're just yeehaw spooky redneck Ghostbusters.
That's what I'm saying, though, is like, where is that film where you get the moment where, like, in the film, it's like the Harbinger gives the message and people are like, oh my god, I never would have expected that this could happen to us. I don't even know what we're gonna do. But like instead of that, it comes out and they like give the harbinger message, and like the other person just turns to them and they're like, I ain't fucking with none of that shit. We're going to the fucking Witches R Us and we're picking up some of shit and we're gonna boil us a simmer pot.
I'm from the woods, motherfucker. Not today, you're not.
Bitch, I am the
Fuck up out
woods.
of my house.
No. And just like fucking sweeping spirits out of the house. Like you come back like spiritual fucking Rambo. You're just over it.
Not today.
The more you make it yours, the less the fuck shit persists.
Yeah,
yes,
kind of,
actually. That's exactly what's occurring.
There was the thing on the stairs, but there was also something real uncomfortable outside
in the
for,
woods.
The first 3 days, and I know because it was fucking with the dogs, and it was something not.
It's almost like we came in that first day and it got bullyish, and then as it came to the rest of the night and then into the following day, it's almost like it like realized maybe don't, and then took off to the woods, because the first couple of days in the woods was that way too.
Yeah.
So yeah.
No haunts for you next.
Yeah.
Like, we knew we were walking into weird shit, just literally, and I told her this too. I said, it sounds ridiculous, but like, even the pictures from the house listing, we knew that there was something wrong. And she was like, no, I believe you. And I said, and we got here, and sure as shit, we walked into the house, and I went, oh, there was some really hateful shit that happened here. And I said, this house is broken, and it's sad.
It's very sad.
And it's better.
Oh, it's much
we're out
better.
of the ICU, but like it takes some time, because we're not just looking at like 5 years of trauma. This house was scarred for like 20 years minimum
since the 50s, and that's just what we know. Because again, the house was built in the 1950s, so there's no telling.
Yeah, that's just the two most recent owners. We don't know about like how it started or anything. I just know that it was built to be a homestead house, and that's what it was. Oh, that was the other thing. She was sitting here telling me this the whole time, and Skull was sitting right by my foot, perfectly quiet. Robin was sitting perfectly quiet, and Hatchet was giving me a hug the whole time, bless his heart. And every once in a while, the lady would be talking, and Skull wouldn't move, wouldn't jump. Like he was contributing to the conversation. So she would stop and listen to him. And I would turn and I'd be like, thank you for your input, and we would keep talking. But they were like sitting there listening the entire time to this lady tell this story. Also, her dog's name is Belle.
She's beautiful!
She was rescued from a concrete pit.
Oh.
So... But
she got good life.
That's Belle.
What a good girl.
A very happy lady.
What a good girl.
But yeah, so that's I haven't gotten dick done for work today, and I'm not even mad about it, because now at least I have the deep lore on our house.
Yeah, I feel better.
It was a good trade-off. I'll just work later tonight, but like now that I finally have actual confirmation on at least most of what happened here, because she told me that there was more, but like now I have an idea of what the fuck happened here. But no, like, I'm glad we finally have this story.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad that we know.
And, like, I think because we started that conversation with her neighbor. Because I asked her, I was like, well, how y'all doing down there? And, like, her face fell. And she looked really upset. And I'm like,
okay.
Are you okay? And I'm not going to give her neighbor's story, because that's not my place. It doesn't have to do with this house. But her neighbor is also creating a very unsafe space for them down there.
Yeah.
And I told her flat out, I was like, if you ever need anything, or if you and your husband need to get out of there for a second because things are heated, please do not hesitate to come down here.
Yeah.
And she made a joke about hiding in the garage. I said, that's not a joke. If you need to come down here, if you need help, come down here. I said, these idiots in the front yard are just going to bark at you. Come through and knock on the door and call my phone.
Especially because you've greeted them now, and that's not a problem.
Well, and I told her, I said, if Dis is the one out here in the yard, call me.
Can I point out?
These three, just come in the yard.
It's weird. This whole thing's weird. Yet unsurprising. Well, shit. That's fucking been an exciting day.
Yeah.
I still... You let her give a harbinger speech.
It wasn't even a harbinger speech, such as like, you okay? Like, You good?
Yeah, but the Harbinger speech happens when somebody comes up and is like...
I feel like the Harbinger speech is what they wanted to give when they came and said hello the first day, but they were scared too.
Well, yeah, because you're just meeting people, like, and you want to get a gauge of them, you know? You right. You true.
No, this lady, and it sounds so ridiculous, and you can think what you want. I am, with my whole soul, believe that this lady came down to see how we were doing and see if, like, anything had changed for the worse. I really, really believe it.
And she'll probably...
She seemed so relieved once we started talking, and, like, she started talking to the animals and the horses. Like, by the time she left, she felt so much better. But I truly think she came down to, like, make sure everything was okay and, like, check on us in that fashion.
Yeah, listen, lady, I mean, I'm doing my best.
Oh, yeah, she also met Hux and Mars, seeing the... Things also got more calm outside after I started saying hi to Grandpa.
Oh, yeah, we have a tree.
Well, there's technically two. Grandma, too, but I mostly talk to Grandpa.
There's a lot of them.
Oh.
But there's a very, very old, like very old,
he's a Douglas fir.
Yeah.
I did what Jujil told me to do and took the measuring thing out there.
Oh.
Because you go like 5 feet up from where the tree meets the ground, and you take and you measure how
The
far around
circumference.
it is. And you times it by like 1.6, and that's how many years old it is. And he's a 400-year-old Douglas fir. Like he's
been around.
He's been here a minute.
Wait, what is hold on.
Grandma's about 300 years old.
What was going on 400 years ago? What was going on 400 years ago?
Yeah, Grandpa been there a goddamn minute. Well, we have a ton of trees. We have red cedar, we have birch, we have Douglas fir, like we have all sorts of stuff. But when I tell you that Grandpa is huge, he was the first thing I gravitated to when we came onto this property, because he's just like, I've never seen a tree like that before. And like...
Nah, he's a cool tree too. Like he's
But because I know I've mentioned it before, but Dante did not make the move. Unfortunately, it was too stressful.
Yeah.
So I buried Dante underneath Grandpa, and ever since I'll go out. I try to go once a day, but at the very least I'll say hi through the window. But I try to go, once a day or once every other day and go out there and say hi. But he is a massive, massive tree. And then Grandma, is to the left of him, and she's about 300 years old. She's a little bit smaller, but she's still pretty fucking huge. Yeah, his branches go like 20 to 30 feet away from the actual trunk of the tree. Like they span out really fucking far. It's hard for me to put into words. But he's a very kind tree.
This is wild.
Yeah, we weren't even here yet, were we?
Nah.
We were
we were on like the east side, because it was a pivotal turn in America, but it was on the east side of the country.
I was gonna say nobody was even over this away yet.
Because that was
except Native Americans.
Yeah, my
Grandpa been here longer than white people.
Aye, Grandpa. Fair enough. Anyway, he's really cool.
Yeah.
We like Grandpa. Grandpa takes care of the past animals. It was in fact nothing good. 2 seconds of a Google search just taught me it was nothing good. All right, well, Ellis hasn't done jack shit for work. I need to go to the gym soon. We played a little bit of the complex, which is great. I'm interested to see what else happens. Or if we're going to get chased by anything, which hasn't happened yet. Otherwise, tryquinn.com will have some new audios up, as well as other audios that I will be releasing through Halloween. So if you're interested, there's that. There's also, of course, Chilling app, which now, by the way, shout out to Chilling app. There is now the ability to watch videos. They finished their first short film and it is now posted. So if you guys are interested, I would hit up thechillingapp.com. You can watch the video there. It is called Gale. And it is really cool, actually. So if you haven't checked that out yet, please do. Remember that chilling is free. There is an ability to pay for a subscription fee. If you're interested, you do get some perks if you pay for the subscription fee, and it supports us. But if you kind of want a free alternative so you can listen to narrators telling stories, or even now watching videos, you can do that. Again, it's free. So we would love to have you guys, and it is thechillingapp.com. calm. It works in both. So. But yeah, okay, I'm gonna go now. Officialautomyv.com. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. I'm gonna go have a nap and a cry.
Bye.